like me and you played a good chunk of Dragon Ball games, you probably know about Dragon Ball Fusions and how amazing it actually was as a game. That being said, I think it is an injustice to our, society right now that we don't have a sequel to Dragon Ball Fusions because of how good it was on the Nintendo 3DS. So today we're going to be talking about what Dragon Ball Fusions is, in case you haven't played it, and why I think it deserves a sequel. What is going on, my dudes? Tystra here, back again with 5-9, and today we are going to be talking about, again, Dragon Ball Fusions. If you like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified of when the next 5-9 video comes out, and of course leave a comment. Would love to hear you guys' opinions. So before we get into the actual reasons why I would like a sequel, let's go ahead and first talk about the history of Dragon Ball Fusions. Now, Dragon Ball Fusions actually had a different release schedule for many different continents. It first released in Japan on August 4th, 2016, and then a couple months later in November 22nd, 2016, it released in North America, followed by in Europe and Australia in February 17th of 2017. That's pretty big gaps in between there, and honestly, it's kind of weird to me why they would do this little stagnant release. However, it did not stop the game from gaining a significant popularity. Dragon Ball Fusions in general by 2018 actually sold 240,568 copies of the game, which doesn't seem like a lot, especially since, we're thinking about, games like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot or Dragon Ball Xenoverse, any of those types of games, you're gonna look at it and see that there's a massive sales difference, but 260,000 copies is nothing to scoff about. I'll tell you that right now. That's a pretty decent amount of units sold. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the history of this game. Dragon Ball Fusions actually is about these two characters, Tekka and Pininch, who you kind of take over as Tekka, and you guys bring out the Shenron Dragon to wish for the greatest martial arts tournament ever, which results in basically this giant time-space rift where all sorts of different characters collide together, where you'll see Raditz and Broly and Beerus and all these other characters, and it's crazy to think that such a simple concept of that would be kind of like, how we see in Japan with Super Dragon Ball Heroes. But instead of it being like, oh yeah, Super Saiyan 5 Raditz comes out, it's ultimately just seeing Raditz join up in this universe at his same power level. But again, that's not to say that he wasn't powerful in this, because we get to the core mechanic of the actual game. Let's talk about the gameplay of Dragon Ball Fusions, right? Dragon Ball Fusions had very, in essence, unique gameplay, where you would take control of 3 characters against either 1 to 3 characters within a little battle stage. Now, of course, it is turn-based, which I love turn-based games, so for those of you who like turn-based games, I highly recommend that you at least try this out, because I do feel their turn-based strategy is a little bit different. You could attack at certain angles, which would cause your opponents to bash into the walls and bash into other characters as well, which is really cool because it adds more strategy. Honestly, you could do a regular attack and do let's say just randomly 20 points of damage, but when you knock them into another opponent or you knock them out of the ring, it ends up actually doing more damage. I've seen things where it's 20 to 1,000. It's crazy. Hitting your opponent into another opponent, hitting them into the wall to do a cutscene where they hit a, whatever it is, that is your main goal. You want to do as much damage as humanly possible. And honestly, it gives you so many avenues to do so many great things. Like if you knock them out of the arena, you actually delay their turn. And that's what I think is really, really cool, because again, you're doing as much damage as you can. Now, of course, the core mechanic of this, right, is the fusions themselves. Yes, you get a little wristband which actually lets you fuse characters together to make all these different fusions, and not just the simple Gotenks and Gogeta. You actually get other fusions, and if you play Dokkan Battle, you've seen these fusions as well, and if you didn't know, they're pretty freaking good. So you could get stuff like Karoli, which is Broly and Goku, which is insane to think about because that's freaking huge. All right, you get Vejanks, which is Vegeta and Trunks. You could get Chow Man, which which is Chaozu, and Cybermen, which is one of the funniest ones I've seen. Gorus, which is Goku and Beerus. You could get Majin Hercule. That's right. You could get Majin Hercule. But there are so many different like fusions you could actually get in the game, and I think it's really, really cool that they give you these options. And you could even have weird ones like Perfect Form 16, which is Perfect Cell and Android 16 put together. That's weird to me, but that's what I think was the funnest part of those fusions, was because you could mix those weird characters that would never fuse together, and without having to do a fusion dance, you get that. And I think that's wonderful. Now, of course, as a side note, we also got DLC playable characters in the game. We got Goku Black, which was really, really cool, and you could actually go into Goku Black Rose. You got Zamasu, which was pretty dope as well. And then you got Future Trunks from the actual Goku Black arc, which I think was pretty amazing at the fact that they actually provided DLC for this game in that sense. So, where does that leave us with Dragon Ball Fusions 2? Well, to start off with Dragon Ball Fusions 2, right? I think that there are more characters now that we could add into it, or possibly from different arcs. And of course, I think we could also bring in some characters from Super Dragon Ball Heroes, because that would be the best way to bring more characters in if that was the case. With how the Nintendo Switch is, I think that would be the go-to. And the reason why I say that is because it does have its handheld mode, and you could keep it in that way, or you could make it a massive 3D masterpiece and just put it on the Switch. Now, granted, the Switch is not entirely going to give you a 3D masterpiece, but you get what I'm trying to say here. Ultimately, I think that Dragon Ball Fusions 2 would have to pick up where it left off before, where they wanted the greatest martial arts tournament ever, but they were left unsatisfied. Just like Goku, who loves to fight, Pininch and Tekka want to fight again and have the next best martial arts tournament. Yes, I think that would be the most wonderful thing to go about it, or to go about, because of the fact that, again, you would be able to introduce all those characters. You could make a new storyline. You could put like Golden Frieza in there. You could put Super Saiyan Blue Goku. You could put, you know, the Universe 6 girls, Kale Caulifla, which would be fantastic in my opinion. You could put Hit. You could put Jiren. You could put the other gods. There's so many different characters now that we can add to this that would make this game a lot of fun. And of course, with how big games are getting, like say Zelda or Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, there's definitely no reason why we can't make this game big. And we've already seen how Dragon Ball games can do on the Switch with the releases of, you know, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and of course the Super Dragon Ball Heroes game that came out, which was really good. I enjoyed it. So, but I think that Dragon Ball Fusions in general, or Dragon Ball Fusions 2, would do fantastic on the Nintendo Switch because of the fact how Dragon Ball has gotten its resurgence and people would actually buy this game. Not only that, but I think that they could actually benefit from releasing Dragon Ball Fusions on the Switch, because then the Dragon Ball fans would get it, it would show that people would want to buy it, and then they'd make Dragon Ball Fusions too. Now granted, I'm not going to sit here and say that Dragon Ball Fusions is going to be the top selling game of the Dragon Ball franchise. But I will say that if you put it out there and you advertise it, like let's say on a Nintendo Direct, you know, people would actually buy Dragon Ball Fusions because it's a lot of fun. Now, I love Dragon Ball Fusions. I actually played it on the 5-9 Twitch channel a while back, and people seemed to enjoy it. People were like, what is this game? I've never seen this one. And some people thought it was a fan game. It was not. It was an actual Dragon Ball licensed game, and Dragon Ball Fusions 2 could be a fantastic addition to that. Putting everybody in there would be great, and of course it would build more hype for when Dragon Ball finally releases the next installment of the anime. And heck, you could even put some manga characters in there like Moro, you could put Granola, you know, Black Frieza, Ultra Ego Vegeta, you know, you could do so many things with it to, you know, kind of get people hyped for it and see how they react. But honestly, I think that just making a new installment or even re-releasing the old one with an HD remaster would be most needed for this game. I love this franchise and I think it's great. But honestly, that's going to do it for me here on 5-9. Let me know, guys, do you guys want to see Dragon Ball Fusions 2, or do you want to even see Dragon Ball Fusions come to the Switch to some capacity? We'd love to hear you guys' opinions in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, we will catch you guys in the next video. Please take care and be safe, y'all.